Good afternoon. Just waiting for a couple people to come on here, so I'm not talking to myself. If you're just joining me, my name is appliques. I am the owner and founder of Paint Fixation here in Middleburg, Florida. Please, when you come on, let me know where you're from. Also, I will be doing another video in a couple of weeks, and I would love to get some ideas on what you guys would like to see done. Excuse me a minute. Okay. So again, my name is Michaela. Hi, Dixie Belle. All right, so today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you, I'm not going to be using a lot of Dixie Belle products, but if you want to purchase Dixie Belle products, I have a new website, www.paintfixation.com. And you can purchase all your Dixie Belle there, and I will have it sent directly to your home. I offer $8 flat shipping under $50 and free shipping over $50 purchase. So feel free to join my email list to see anything new that I add on there. And let's get started with the project for today. So a lot of times when we go get furniture, we have pieces that are missing, appliques that are missing, parts like this here, or edges on your furniture here. You go into the store, you see this beautiful piece. I just got this piece this week. Look at the curves on that thing. Okay. Sometimes you pass these pieces up because it's missing a curve, it's missing an edge, the middle part's gone, and you think, well, I can't do anything with that. Well, I'm going to show you how to fix it, and it's not hard. It does take a little bit of finesse, a little bit of practice, but I'm going to show you exactly how I did this one. So this is just on a flat piece of board, okay? And this is the exact replica of this piece. I'm having trouble with the lighting, but this piece right here, okay? So if I were to buy this piece, and this piece was either completely missing, if part of it was missing, and it has two, so it has a partner over here. So as long as you have one good piece, you can fix it. And I've done this on a desk once. I had a desk that had 8 claw feet, and it was missing parts or all of 6 of them. And using this technique, I was able to fix all of them, and you could not tell that they had originally been missing. So for this piece, I did it here. And if you want to know the colors that I used on here real quick, it's palmetto, a Dixie Belle greenish color, really pretty. And then I used the best stain wax in black. And then I just dry brushed a little bit of cotton on top, just so that you guys could see the details. Now, you can see where there's a little bit of divots and that sort of thing. And that is because I didn't go in and clean up my glue. But I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm going to pull you around here just to show you the things that you're going to need to do this project. Catherine, my daughter's with me today. Are you able to see? She's going to answer questions or tell me when you have questions, because the lighting in here is kind of bad and I can't see my comments very well. But I'm going to show you all the products that you need to start. Okay? So the first thing when you're doing this, you're going to need gloves, because the Bondo that I'm using it's messy, it's sticky, it's really hard to get off. So you want gloves, and if you ever are stripping or using any kind of chemical, these venom gloves are the bomb. They do not break. I've never had a glove that can last me literally all day. I can reuse these, take them off, wash my hands, take them off. I don't sell these. They're just wonderful. I just like them. So I'm going to put these on, and then you're going to need a hot glue gun, which is I have here. You want to have some hot glue sticks available, because sometimes, depending on the piece that you're fixing, this does take a lot of glue. Okay, and I'm going to show you. Okay, so then you also need Bondo. Now this is the one that I use. It's an all-purpose putty. It's backwards. I can't flip my thing, but it's Bondo, all-purpose putty. It's sandable in 15 minutes. Okay, it's paintable. It's wonderful. It does have a strong odor, So I usually use this in the garage, which is where I am now, or on my back patio. Okay, and the Bondo comes with a lid like this. So when you're you can get it at Home Depot or Lowe's, any of those type stores. It looks like this when you see it on the shelf. Okay, and you're going to want to, when you open it, it's going to have this tube of hardener. So on its own, this does not dry, but when you add the hardener, it dries like a rock. Okay, so you're going to need these. You're going to need a spatula to get your Bondo out of the can. Usually, you can buy these plastic. These are from Bondo. You can buy these to scoop it out. They come in different sizes, but I can't find my little one, so I'm going to use this one to dip out. And then I use the plastic one to mix. Excuse me. Okay. What else do we have? Normally, when I'm doing this, I would wear my mask. But I can't talk to you while I'm wearing my mask. So for this one time, I'm not going to wear my mask. But this is the mask that I use when I sand, when I paint things that are high smelly, volume, gross stuff. You're going to need some oil, any kind of oil, cheap, whatever you have. Alcohol, just plain old rubbing alcohol. And some sanding paper. I have 320 grit, and I have the Dixie Belle sanding sponge, which is a 220. I also use my Dremel tool when I'm done. If I need to do any carving, I like to use my Dremel tool. This is one of my favorite tools in my shop. I have a hair dryer today just to help speed things along. You don't need that, but I am going to be using that. And I have a pick here that I used last night, so I just brought it out so you can see it. Okay, so this is how you're going to do this. The first thing you're going to do is make a mold with your hot glue. This is the mold that I used last night to make the one on here. Now I'm going to show you how I made this. As long as it stays intact when you pull it off of your piece, like when I did my desk with the claw feet, I was able to reuse my mold several times before I had to make a new one. But I did have like 6 feet to fix. If you only have one piece like I do, you know, you can just make it and throw this out, or you can keep this if you ever want to make an applique like this for any of your furniture. You can reuse it over and over again. Okay, so the first thing I do is I use a silicone spatula. I get this at the dollar store. I cut them down. These are great for wood glue when you're using wood glue and you don't want to ruin a brush. The glue will come right off after it dries. Okay, just a little pro tip. But I'm going to use it for the oil. So the first thing I do, I'm going to bring you around here. Okay, I'm hoping that y'all can see this. I'm going to lower my camera down, and pardon me if I make you dizzy. Okay, I'll back it up a little bit. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to put just a little bit of oil around this piece. Okay, can y'all see that? Can you see it, Catherine, on there? Yeah. Okay, I can't tell. Okay, so I'm just going to put a very little bit of oil on this silicone brush. And again, don't forget, these are great for wood glue. Okay, you'll never waste another brush putting wood glue on the back of your wood bend or woodgie bend or your molds when you're attaching them. And you just want to kind of get it in. Now, I have done this without using oil before. Hi, Amy. And it worked great. But this has got some very deep crevices in it, and I didn't want my glue to pop out or to crack when I undid it. So you're going to put your oil in there, and you can always, after you're done doing this, take your white lightning, and it'll clean this right up. No problem. And then your paint will stick. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to use my spatula in case things drip. So you're going to take your hot glue, and you're just going to start from the top, and you're going to fill in all the cracks, okay? Just like this. You can see the smoke on it. I have a really hot glue gun. This is like a commercial glue gun. So it gets really hot. You don't have to use one that's quite so hot, but I like them like this. I like mine to get really hot. And don't worry about the glue getting on the rest of your piece, because another pro tip, rubbing alcohol takes the hot glue right off. So if you get the glue on there, or even after you take off your mold and you have glue in the cracks and stuff, just get a Q-tip or something and put some rubbing alcohol in there, and it will clean it right up. Most of the time it'll just peel off, but if it doesn't, the rubbing alcohol gets it off really easily. Now I'm putting this on here a little bit thicker than I did last night, just because, you know, you get on camera and things always fail. So I just want to make sure that I have enough on here. Now I'm going to use my blow dryer. It's going to get loud here for a minute, just so I can dry this. I'm using this on the cold setting. Well, I don't have my glasses on, so. So I normally wouldn't do this. Yeah, Stacy, I would normally take the door off, but I didn't. It would make it easier. I just got this piece. So I'm just going to wait for it to get dry enough for me to take it off of here. And then I'm going to show you how I mix up my Bondo. Are there any questions? Okay, can y'all see that okay? Okay, I'm going to take my glove off here so I can get this off. So once the glue is dried, if you're very careful, you should be able to pull this off without any problem. Looks like I might have missed this edge over here a little bit. You see right here where the glue's not on there? So let's just pretend I'm only missing half. And then look at it, it just pops right off.
Someone asked if you could use paper clay or should it just be Bondo?
I have never used paper clay for this because I love the durability of the Bondo. I have actually replaced an edge like this before, and I would be afraid to use paper clay. I would want it to be a very strong bond. And the Bondos, that's just what it's made for. You can actually get automotive Bondo. But I'm going to show you a trick too. And if you can see here, there's a little hole right here. Can you see the hole that I have in there? So I should have gone a little bit deeper with this. But I'm going to use it just to show you. I'm going to show you how I do it. So if I were doing this myself, I would just ditch this one and do it again. But you get the idea of what I'm doing. This one that I did yesterday, I did it much thicker. There are no holes in it. It's clean. Now I will show you something that I don't mind it if my molds have a little bit of character to them. Now if you want it to be a clean a clean mold. Okay, so look at this one. Let me put my glasses on. So on this one, you can see that there are some crevices in here, okay? That's because I didn't go back in and clean out any pieces of glue. This one actually, despite the fact that I have a hole in it, oop, I'm really close, I'm sorry. Okay, despite the fact that there's a hole there, I don't see any bulges on the glue, but if you had like little divots or something, you could just pick them off and that'll keep the piece clean. Now, if your mold comes out like this and you really wanted it to be more smooth, then you could go in with Dixie Belle mud and you could fill in these little cracks and then smooth it out, okay? But I actually really like the way this one looks, okay? Now, what we do next is I'm gonna go ahead and mix some Bondo up. So I need my glove because, like I said, this stuff is really nasty. If you do get it on you, you can get it off with mineral spirits. But I don't know what happened to my logo there. Okay. All right, so like I was telling you before, if you get glue in these cracks, this one actually came off pretty clean, rubbing alcohol. You can take rubbing alcohol and wipe it, and it'll wipe right out of the cracks. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you how I mix my Bondo. Okay, so you're going to have your, excuse me, your hardener. And I like to give it a good squeeze to get it mixed up, because if you don't use it for a while, then it can get a little bit liquidy in there. It's not mixed up good, so just give it a good massage. And open your can on it. Now, there are directions on here about how much of each to use, but I've been doing this quite a bit, so I just eyeball it. Just for informational, the more of this you use, the more of the hardener that you use, the faster that this is going to dry. It gives you less working time. So if you want more working time, you're going to use a little bit less of the hardener, and really that's the best way to go. You want it to take a little bit longer to dry, but that gives it a much harder finish. Okay, so I'm going to take my spatula that's got glue all over it now. And I'm going to take, now it's going to take quite a bit because you want enough to fill your whole mold and then some, just to make sure you get the whole thing filled. So you see I've got maybe 1/4 cup on here. Now what I usually do is I take my hardener and I put maybe a pea-size amount in like 3 little sections, just so it doesn't all get glooped all in, is that a word, glooped? Gooped up all in one spot. So then I'm going to use this spatula. Normally I guess I'll just use this one. So the plastic spatulas, it doesn't stick like it does on here, but this is my nasty spatula I use for everything. So you're just going to take your Bondo and you want to work the hardener in there, okay? And just keep working it until you don't see any more of the hardener sitting in there. You want it to be as mixed in as you can get it. This has a strong smell. I kind of like it, but I like chemical smells like, gasoline. But some people will not like this. You'll have to wear a mask. Charcoal mask is probably the best kind because it keeps the smells out. Okay, so here's my mold that I just made. Okay. And I'm going to just put it right inside the mold. Just like this. Catherine, what time is it?
It's 12:19.
Yeah, we're doing good. Okay. Now, after you get this in here, I know it looks really messy, but it cleans up pretty easily on your piece. Once this dries, it sands so good, and you can carve it, and you know, if you don't get it just right. I've even, when I was doing the claw feet, I actually went back and added more Bondo to the top of one of my pieces, and it filled in the cracks. It's pretty forgiving stuff, actually, even though it looks like a nightmare. Okay, now if I was going to do this on my piece, what I do, depending on what area I'm working at, so in the piece I had done before, I was missing this whole corner right here. We dropped something on it, and it knocked off this whole corner. And so what I did was I nailed 3 small finishing nails into the corner, because this corner, you know, someone might try to lift the piece up, and I didn't want it to just break off, which I'm not sure it would even do that, but I always put something in the wood to grab onto the Bondo. So I would, if I was going to do this whole side, I would put in 3 finishing nails so that they're sticking out, maybe a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and then put my mold right on there. But what I did, and so if I was going to replace this one, which I don't need to, but I would take the mold, okay, and I would literally just place it right in the spot where it's missing, okay, and I would hold it there for a minute or two until it starts to get dry, so that it'll stay there. But for your purpose, just so that you can see what I'm doing, what I did last night was I took a small wood screw, just like this one, and I screwed it into the wood, and then I took my mold, and we're just going to place it right on top of that. Okay. Now, you want to, these edges here match up with this part here. So in reality, if I was going to put this mold on there, I wouldn't need Bondo on this edge. But you can see here on the one I made last night, this piece right here, right in that area, that is actually the very edge of this, okay? So if I were going to replace just this applique, I would have cut or carved off that piece there, okay? So we have this on here. This stuff dries pretty darn quick, and you want to kind of give it a nice push so that all of the Bondo is in the cracks. Now, while that's sitting there, and you can see now it's on there, it's not going to go anywhere, okay? But as you can see on this piece is not coming off, okay? I'm like pulling on it. Yes, Linda, isn't it great? I mean, this is the greatest thing so that you don't pass up a piece of furniture that otherwise is gorgeous. I mean, I used to pass up furniture when my cat is scratching at the door. This seems to be a trend on my lives. Doesn't matter where I'm at. Okay. This is not going to come off here. This is a very secure way to replace a piece. The only thing that you can't do is stain it. You have to, it's going to have to be painted. You're going to have to paint your piece instead of stain your piece. Deborah, this is Palmetto from Dixie Belle with black wax and cotton dry brushed on top. Okay, that's what this color is. You can get this on my website at paintfixation.com. Okay, so this piece is still curing a little bit. I kind of wanted to, I don't know how if I'll be able to pull this off during the live. Usually it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get good enough to pull off the mold. Does anybody have any questions while we're sitting here? Any questions about anything? It doesn't have to be about what we're working on. It can be about anything with Dixie Belle products, techniques, anything like that. I'm happy to help. Hi, Portsmouth. I'm not sure how to say that. Any questions at all, no, Kath? No questions today? I've never done a live at noontime, so I wasn't sure what the response would be, but we've got quite a few people watching. And like I said before, I'm going live again in 2 weeks on the 18th. I believe that's a Wednesday at noon. And I would love for you guys to let me know what you want to know. What do you ever sand to even out? If so, yes, Linda, I do. I'm sorry, I'm not reading the comments. I do sand it to even it out, and last night I used 320 and 220. Dixie Belle has a. Let me take this glove off real quick. One of my favorite sanding sponges is Dixie Belle sanding sponge. Diane, I am in Middleburg, Florida. If you are in Middleburg, Jacksonville, or Orange Park, I have my paint for sale at Antiques for You at 801 Landing Boulevard. Gina, okay, I used oil on the piece so that the glue didn't stick. Then I used hot glue to make the mold and Bondo all-purpose putty to fill the mold. This product right here. You can catch this video on a replay. It will be on Dixie Belle's site. I will also have it on my own site, Paint Fixation. So if you missed anything at all, you can go to the beginning, and when you watch it on a replay, you can fast forward and back up to see what parts you missed. Okay, so again, if y'all have any ideas for a live that you don't know, I know that there's a lot of lives during the month, and a lot of them do similar things. But if there is something that we've missed as retailers or ambassadors, if there's something that we haven't done that you guys are really wanting to know how to do, please let us know, okay? And if I'm able, I'll be happy to do that for you on the 18th. Okay. All right, I'm going to pull this off. Okay, so here's the mold. Now this is going to, we'll see how this, magic of television. It's who knows what it's going to look like. I've never had to completely take one off and redo it though. I could, if I wanted this to be a cleaner look, like I said before, I could take Dixie Belle mud and fill in the cracks and smooth it out with a 320, 220 grit. The Dixie Belle sponges are 220, okay? These are one of my favorite things, okay? So I'm going to pull off the glue. And it's actually still a little bit damp. Okay, I probably could have waited another 5 minutes. But, okay. All right, so this one's not, like I said, I didn't put enough glue, because I'm on TV, of course. Or not TV, but, video. All right, so what I would do with this, all right, after I get it to this point, like I said, I pulled this off a little bit early, but, I didn't want y'all to miss me pulling it off. You could take a pick, something like this, and you could go in and pull off any of the, see how easy that comes off? Y'all probably didn't see that. Okay, you can pull off the edges that you don't want. This is still a little bit damp. Once this hardens, I have to use a Dremel tool to do this. Okay, so you're going to just pull off the pieces that you don't want on there. See how easy that comes off? Okay, because it's still a little bit damp. Oops. Okay. Now, after this is still tacky, so I can't show y'all sanding. This would not sand well. But you want your glue to be thicker than I had it, because your screw should not be showing at all. Actually, I probably didn't have that one screwed in far enough. This one now I also have a screw underneath it, and you cannot see it. So you see, that's just things that can happen. Again, I've never had to replace one. I've never had to remake one. It does take some practice, and you can practice just like I did on a piece of wood. If you're not sure about a piece, practice on something that you already have, because it's not going to damage your furniture. You can make molds off furniture that you already have. Practice on these edges, okay? A lot of times you'll find a piece like this cracked off. Can you see me, Catherine? This Stacy says you can't see.
I can.
Okay, so like this piece here, you might not have that on there. Practice on a piece that you already have in your house or in your stock, just to get an idea of how to do it before you work on a real piece. But as long as you have a mirrored piece, this is something that you can do. So after this dries, I could go in and sand it. Now, I love to use my Dremel tool for this. I have these little titanium carbide tips that I use. I have different shapes, different lengths that I can use to shape it. I also have sandpaper on my Dremel tool, so I can use the smaller sandpapers. Once this dries completely, it sands really nice, okay? And you can see from this that this is identical to the one on the piece of furniture. Okay. Oh, does anybody have any other questions? Stacy, can you see me now? All right. Just to recap what you need to do this. You need hot glue. When you start your hot glue gun, make sure you have a full glue stick and backups, because it does take more glue than you think it does. And that just shows you on that one that I just did with that little hole in there. I'm trying to go too fast. Just make sure your glue is thick. Okay, the thicker the better. So you'll need hot glue. You need your Bondo. Okay, your all-purpose putty. You're going to need a couple different spatulas. Plastic is the best to use because it peels right off. The Bondo comes right off of here, but I always have a messy one that I work on with different things. You're going to want a mask, especially when you sand. You want to use a mask, okay? You want some sanding products. This is a 320 grit, and then the Dixie Belle sanding sponges, which is one of my favorites for finishing. That's a 220 grit. And if you need to clean up your alcohol, your glue, you can use your rubbing alcohol. It'll clean it up just right. And just any kind of all-purpose cooking oil. I've even seen some people use cooking spray. You can just spray it on there. Yes, Stacy, the thicker the better. And like someone mentioned before, if I was doing this piece, actually, I just got this piece a couple days ago. Taking the door off would have been a much easier way to do this, but for the lighting and the camera and all that, it was easier for me to do this vertically. Now, you're going to have some pieces that you can't take off, just like the edges here. You're going to have to, if you were going to do an edge like this, what I would do is take a piece of cardboard and I would tape the cardboard underneath the edge to hold it, and then glue it, and that cardboard would hold up either cardboard or a plate that has a coating on it or something. Anything actually that you can get to stay up here will work. When I did mine, I just taped some cardboard on there and then hot glued it and just pulled it off like that. So let's see, did I miss anything? I think that's everything. So if you missed the whole video, please watch it on the replay, share it, like it, go to my page, Paint Fixation. And if you are in the market for Dixie Belle paint, I have it all on my website at paintfixation.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me or ask here, and I will go back after the video to answer all of your questions. And I really appreciate everybody coming in the middle of your day to watch the video. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks. Bye.